to walk through the steps of the difference quotient. The difference quotient is f of x plus h minus the original function f of x, all divided by h, and there is one restriction on it, that h cannot be 0. And h cannot be 0 because, remember, we cannot divide by 0. Now, when we do this, I highly recommend that you follow steps. If you do it in these steps, it will make it easier than trying to put everything in this ugly looking thing. First, find f of x plus h. Once you find that, second, find the opposite of your original equation, so a negative f of x. Third, combine like terms from steps 1 and 2. This will give you f of x plus h minus f of x. In other words, it will give you the numerator here. Fourth, divide h from each remaining term. And this will result in your final solution to the difference quotient. Now let's look at an example of this and see what I mean by doing these steps. So let's start if I have the function of f of x is equal to a negative 6x plus 5. So my first step right here tells me to find f of x plus h. Okay, so I'm going to find f of, and remember that when we plug in x plus h, I'm going to replace my x, every x, with that x plus h. So I'm going to have an x plus h here. So I've replaced my x with this x plus h. Then I'm going to distribute this negative 6 in here. So I get negative 6x minus 6h, and I still have a plus 5. So you'll notice that when I did this, this x went away, and it became an x plus h. Now I've distributed. So this is step 1. Step 2 is to find the opposite of my original function. So basically, I'm just going to put a negative sign in front of that original function. And it's going to look like this. All I've done is plugged in a negative, and then I've put in my original function, which is what this is saying. I'm going to subtract the original function. Then I'll distribute that negative sign to each of these. So I'll get a positive 6x minus 5. Now I'm going to put all of this together so that I have f of x plus h minus f of x. That's going to be my negative 6x minus 6h plus 5 plus a 6x minus 5. And I want to combine like terms. So if you'll notice, the negative 6x and the positive 6x are going to subtract out. The positive 5 and the negative 5 will subtract out, so those will all go away. And I'm left with a negative 6h. At step 3, after you've combined everything, every term without an h, so every term without an h should be gone. You should only have terms with an h here. So then the last step is to take what you had after you subtracted out and divide every term by that h. So I have a negative 6h. I'm going to divide by an h. So I just get a negative 6. And for this particular problem, this is my difference quotient. In the next video, I will show what happens whenever you have a more complicated original function, such as a quadratic. Okay?